This is Mitch, and welcome to 1000houses.com podcast. I am so happy to have Dennis Berry here. That's Berry, just in case you're wondering. And this episode is brought to you by taxfreefuture.com. If you do not have a self-directed, tax-deferred, or tax-free retirement account to which you can grow your finances, you have no idea the size of the tool you are missing in your tool belt. Please go to taxfreefuture.com, learn about IRAs, 401ks, health accounts, educational accounts, all of which can grow tax-free or tax-deferred. Check it out, learn what you can do. You have no idea what your financial advisors are not telling you. We're going to tell you what they're not telling you. We're going to tell you why they don't tell you. And then you can do with what you want. Taxfreefuture.com. All right, I paid the bills there, Dennis, so thank you for giving me that second. So I have you on, just for the listener's sake, this is my own, this is not going to be about real estate, okay, per se. It has everything to do with how I'm still able to function and how I function at a higher level than I have before, but it has to do with addiction and alcoholism. And I've seen, you know, there's a lot of AAA personalities in this industry I'm personally aware of. I know there's probably, I mean, there's AAA personalities in every industry, but I'm very aware of how many AAA personalities are in this buy and flip game that we do. They're all entrepreneurs. They're all got pegged over in the red. They're all burning the candle at both ends. They play hard and they work hard. And there's a lot of alcohol and other substances out there that are very familiar. Like I don't know the last time I went to a real estate meeting that didn't involve, you know, there's drinks and the bars over there and that beer and wine's over here. I mean, I've never been to a meeting that didn't have that. So for those of you who may be looking to resolve that, I wanted to have a few episodes. I had one with David Essel, and now I wanted to talk with Dennis Berry, who learned from David. If you think that you maybe need to get some more control on certain aspects of your life, maybe this is a great meeting to watch. Dennis, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Mitch. How are you, man? Thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Well, so you're in Colorado, and you struggled with alcohol addiction or other addictions?
Right. So yeah, I've been sober since April 8th of 2003. And so my 30-second story is I'm an old ski racer guy. So I used to live in the mountains and ski, and then I became a chef to pay the bills so I can ski all the time and party and do all that stuff. And it just kind of got out of control. And then in 2003, I was like 70 pounds overweight, unhappy, unhealthy, didn't know how to go about changing all that. So I couldn't drink anymore, but I couldn't stop drinking. And I was doing a lot of cocaine, smoking 2 packs a day. I was really unhealthy.
You couldn't drink anymore, but you couldn't stop drinking. What is I couldn't drink anymore? Do you mean physically you couldn't drink anymore, or it was just the fun had wore off of it and you didn't want to drink anymore, but you didn't know what else? That's just always what you've done.
That's a great question. Well, the truth is, like, I couldn't drink anymore, like, because I was killing myself, and I would drink and just to pass out for a few hours, and then I would wake up and throw up.
So physically, you were consuming as much as you could possibly consume. You couldn't put another teaspoon down your throat. So when you say I couldn't drink anymore, it means you were saturated.
Yeah, I reached the end, and unfortunately, that's what it takes for a lot of people. You know, what we call rock bottom, just reaching that point in your life where you just can't take anymore, and that's when you become willing to make the changes that are necessary to stop that behavior. And really, you know, when people talk about getting sober, it's not about or clean, free from addiction, recovered, whatever you want to call it. It's not about not drinking or snorting cocaine or smoking weed or whatever. It's about facing your problems. You know, facing life as it comes at you, because it comes at you every day. Life doesn't stop coming at you. It's not, oh, I'm going to stop drinking and I'm going to make $1 million and have the perfect relationships and my health are great. Like, you have to work on those things, and you need to first stop doing those harmful behaviors so you can get to those points.
So just for the record, it still offends me when I'm referred to as an alcoholic or an ex-alcoholic, right? Because I never ever considered myself that. Although I drank almost every day, so I guess technically by the definition I am. But and for right or wrong, I know that I was, you know, I mean, I probably met every symptom or everything that's in the definition of an alcoholic I was, except for my life hadn't fallen apart, my finances hadn't fallen apart, my relationship hadn't fallen apart, my relationship with my kids was still good. I was just a highly functional, highly functional. So what I want to point out to people is nothing fell apart in my life. I didn't have a DWI. I didn't get in a wreck. I didn't kill anybody. I didn't maim myself. There was no fight. There was no argument. There was no falling down. I just realized I could not go any further under the demands of this demon. This demon was taking so much of my time, occupying so much of my mind, making me useless many hours of the day. And when I say useless, I wasn't falling down, but I wasn't going to go finish that last half of my book in that last 3 hours of the day because I just wasn't in any mental state to do it because I had too much alcohol in me, you know, and I didn't feel like doing it. I wanted to sit and vegetate or smoke the rest of those cigarettes, which was my big deal. I would get 2 or 3 bourbons in, and you couldn't stop me from smoking a whole pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
And I realized those 2 combinations with the acid reflux was going to kill me. It was going to kill me.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a great point. And you know, I have met, you know, thousands and thousands of people in my world of recovery over the years. And you know, what I told you was my story of like despair, pitiful despair, getting to the end where I was unhealthy, I was killing myself. But I also have been, and in the beginning, I did a lot of 12-step recovery stuff. And you know, I was at a meeting once where this woman said she was the speaker. It was a speaker meeting. And she was the speaker, the star of the show. And her story was she drank 2 little shooters of vodka every day. And I was like, that's not even enough to make a drink. Like, that didn't make sense to me because I drank 2 shooters of vodka as soon as I opened my eyes every morning. So that didn't make sense to me. But to her, it was a problem. To you, it was a problem, even though you hadn't hit that bottom. So to everybody, it's different. You can't really define what that line is for people. The important thing is to realize that, you know, I want to get here, and my behavior, what I'm doing now, whether it's drinking a handle of vodka every day or drinking 2 shooters of vodka every day, is keeping me from getting here. And so if that's a problem for you and you decide to stop, but you really can't, if you say, I'm not going to drink this week and you can't make it 2 days, maybe it's a problem. But I can't define that for you. You have to make that decision for yourself.
It could be porn. It could be video games. It could be a lot of things. You say, if I stop doing this, I could accomplish so much more in this other area that would be so much more rewarding. Why am I stuck doing this thing? So it doesn't even have to be an illegal drug or, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be anything that.
I do know what you mean.
Changes.
Yeah, and that's a great point because, you know, what it really comes down to is your behavior, right? It comes down to your state of mind. And it's like, all right, so we all have problems, and it's called the human condition. It's not confined to Mitch or Dennis or anybody else. We all have maybe some fears, some things in our life that are keeping us from getting where we want to be. And so what are we doing? Are we trying to get through those things, or are we eating some chocolate cake to get through those? Are we drinking something? Are we watching porn? Are we smoking cigarettes instead of handling the situation that's in front of us? And that's when it becomes a problem. And so I have solutions to those problems to help get people through those.
Yeah. You know, we've said it 1,000 times, but in a different venue. You know, if you want to get someplace that you've never been before, you need to saddle up with someone who's already been there and knows the trail and who's been through what you are going to have to go through. And, you know, try to find someone that's the most likely, you know, I mean, but anyways, this is one thing good about this venue is you could be a coach for someone clear across an ocean. You know what I mean? You know, in this kind of setting, you can coach this thing with Zoom pretty easy, I would think. And I'm not getting.
No, you're absolutely right. I have a client in Australia, and I have a client in India, and then all throughout the United States. So yeah, I mean, like alcoholism, addiction of any kind, it's not confined to any certain place or location. It's all over the planet. And people are numbing out instead of facing their problems all over the planet. And I have a client in Canada, and he's struggling with smoking right now. And so we're working on getting him through that. And he's been through cancer and surgery, and he's advanced in years, and but he still smokes. So we have to get to the root cause of why he's smoking, not just, oh, there's this physical craving there, but why is he doing that behavior instead of facing life? And that's what it comes down to. And not everybody's willing to do the work. In my book, I talk about this how approach. And people often ask, how do I become successful? How do I become free of my addictions? How do I become sober? How do I become healthy? How do I have great relationships? And how stands for honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. I need to be honest and first say, you know what, I have a problem, something's not right. And then I need to be open to listening to a different point of view that maybe the way I'm living isn't working. And then W stands for, I need to be willing to make those changes. So that's why, are you in a position in your life where you're willing to do things differently to get different results? And it's important to take on whatever you do in life. You know, I'm talking about addiction recovery, but whatever you do in life, bring that how approach in. Be honest, open, and willing in everything you do in life, and you're going to be more successful.
So let's label this conversation as self-improvement. It doesn't have anything to do with the addiction. Self-improvement's breaking old habits and forming new habits. So maybe it falls in the addiction side, if that's where you are, you might be, or you think you might be. But maybe it's just you want to achieve something that's been out of your reach. So you're going to have to do something different to get there. So I want you to address these two things. I'm drawing from my own personal experience. One is, the biggest thing that stopped me from committing was the fear that I wasn't going to be able to do it. And I prayed to my God, which Jesus Christ is my God and Savior. And I prayed for 1.5 to 3 years to take this away from me. Show me how I'm going to get rid of this. Help me recognize, put the person in front of me. Help me find my path through this. I'm not asking you to do it for me, but just show me who. And that's when I interviewed David Essel, and he had a holistic approach. One of the reasons why I gravitated towards him was I never wanted to go to AA, and I'm not bashing it because it's helped a lot of people, but it's about 80 years old or 90 years old. I don't know how old it is. And it hasn't seemed to change much, except for they're trying to take God out of it, which is the only change they're trying to do. And I don't like that change at all. But anyways, I never understood why a person who had been sober for 10 years would walk in and go, hi, I'm so-and-so and I'm an alcoholic. To me, that's bullshit. Why would you claim that? Why would you walk in after 10 years of success and claim that you're not, that you're broken? You're not broken anymore. And you know, if you're a paraplegic and you stand up and walk, and you've been walking for 10 years since you've been a paraplegic, you don't walk into a room and go, hi, I'm a paraplegic. Hell, you're standing on 2 feet. What are you talking about? So,
Yeah.
And we know how the mind works now, much more than we did 90 years ago, or at least we brought it to the forefront. Why would I go in there and claim that brokenness when I have squarely beat it? Even if only, I understand the first 6 months of the first year, I get it. You need to own up to your crap, you know, but after a while, it's like, oh, that's not me. That used to be me, but that's not me anymore. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I think that's a great point of view. I think with a lot of things, it becomes a crutch. And I think the benefit of it, and I fell into that trap early on in sobriety too, and I've been sober for a long time. But for the first 6 or 7 years, I went to AA all the time, almost every day. And I think one of the things I realized, and I did all the service positions and I was around there all the time. And then what I realized one day is that all the old timers and the people that were hanging around there all the time, that's all they did. And so you become dependent on the meetings to be sober. But in my opinion, I realized one day I had this awakening that being sober isn't about hanging out in meetings all the time. It's about going out and living life successfully, stubbing your toe and getting through it and learning how to live. And it's the same thing with like law of attraction. Law of attraction, The Secret, that book and that movie and everything, like that's a great theory. And the reason, one thing that she left out of that whole movie and book thing is the work piece. You know, for those that don't know what law of attraction, it's the energy you put out into the world is the energy that comes back to you. But you can't just say, I want $1 million and sit on the couch and get stoned and play Xbox all day. You have to go out and take action and bring that positive thinking out into the action that you're taking. But don't say, oh, this is my thinking, bring it on. That's not the way that it works. And it's the same thing with, well, I'm sorry, it's the same thing.
It works. Yeah. The reason why it works is because you're planting that subliminal message in the back of your head that you want this, but you've got to get out in the world and be moving forward. But what happens is you start to recognize the opportunities to get there. That doesn't happen while you're playing Xbox.
Exactly. And it's the same thing
out there.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with AA. It's like, you know what the law of attraction is, and I say this all the time, is that it's a supplement to living well, not a substitute for living well. And it's the same thing with AA. It's a supplement to living your life, not a substitute for going out and living life. Like, I was hiding in meetings and hiding in my apartment when I was drunk and stoned all the time. Now I want to go out and live. So I need to take these principles, and they're healthy principles in there, don't get me wrong. But I think the real value with AA and 12-step programs is the fellowship, that you get friends there.
Yeah, and you got some people you can call that have been there before, and I get the whole thing. I don't even know how it happened, Dennis. I quit so easy. When I said I'm putting it down, I don't know. First of all, I never wanted a cigarette unless I was drinking. So when I quit drinking, I just didn't want a damn cigarette at all. And the thought, even when I was smoking and drinking, the thought of having a cigarette before I had 2 or 3 drinks would irk me. But 2 or 3 drinks, I had to have the cigarette. But I don't know why. And I still think sometimes maybe it's unreal. I put it down. I put a bottle with a cracked seal that had about 2 jiggers out of it, a full big handle, on my nightstand with a pack of cigarettes that was open that had 15 cigarettes left. And every morning I'd wake up and look at them and go, and then I'd go about my day. I wasn't going to run from them. I wasn't going to empty my house. I wasn't not going to go to a bar because there was alcohol there. I was not going to stay away from people that had alcohol because I'm a social person and I need it like I need air. And if I'm going to socialize with people, there's just going to be people smoking and drinking all around me all the time, no matter what I do, if I'm going to go socialize in the fashion that I've been known to socialize. So to me, if I was going to beat it, I had to look at it square in the face and sit right next to it and not want it. I've been drinking for 40 years. I just didn't want it anymore. Here's the other point. First, I wanted to get your point on, and I'm not bashing AA, but what's your point on, if it's working for you, man, you do it. If meetings and being at meetings, there's no one way. I'm just trying to tell you, I saw this other way that really appealed to me, and that's when I started. I met David Essel, and he said that you don't have to walk in and claim this stuff. In fact, I teach a different way. Like, let's just not claim it and give it to some, give it down the road somewhere. So, well, how do you feel about that one move? I mean, you did both.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great. And I think what happens is if you stay around there, I think it's a good place to start. It gives you some clarity so you're not sitting in your own apartment trying to figure things out. You're surrounded by like-minded people. You're getting those crazy thoughts out of your head, and you're dealing with some of the cravings, the physical cravings that come up by being in a safe environment. So that's cool. And then it's like, learn what you need to learn. And then it's like, you have to go out, and you can't be babied all the time and just carry this as your substitute for living life. Now, along those lines, once again, being sober or free from addiction or whatever it is or stop eating or porn, whatever it is, it's not about stopping that. It's about stopping that and learning how to live successfully. So I think it's important to have somebody in your life to help you, guide you through that process. Like, I was taught to have an expert in every area of your life. So I'm not a lawyer. If I need to go to court, I need a lawyer. If I hate doing taxes, it's like the worst thing in the world for me. I need an accountant every year. And if I get sick, I need to go to the doctor. And if I need to be free from addiction and learn how to live life successfully, I need to have a mentor or a coach or somebody in my life to help get me there, because my thinking got me drunk or using bad behavior to cope with my problems. So I think go to AA if that's what helps you get sober. It's a great tool to start, and then start learning how to live. give me a call, give David a call, find a mentor. I mean, Mitch is a great mentor. He's a successful person who's overcome a lot of problems to become who you are today. Call Mitch. I mean, find a mentor or an accountability partner, somebody in your life that you respect and trust and would like to be like, and ask them for help. I mean, that's an important piece of the puzzle, is to be humble and ask somebody for help, and then you can get there.
So on that note, if anyone's out there just wants to talk to me about my personal experience, I'm not equipped to help you quit. But I'll tell you my story, or you can ask me questions about it. But then we'll help you find somebody if you want to, or you find someone on your own. It doesn't matter. But if you just want to talk to me, my number is 210-669-4020. If you're on the fence and you want to talk about it, because I was on the fence for a long time, talking to people about it helped me make my decision. That plus some good introspection of, I started calculating how many hours I was under the influence. I was under the influence 30 to 40 hours a week.
That's like a full-time job.
No, so and I wasn't able to get things that I really wanted to do done. And then I started looking myself in the mirror. Goes, the reason why you can't get it done is you're choosing something else over what you say you want. But obviously you don't want it bad enough, because you're not going to give up this to go do that. But this is a waste of time and it's killing you, and it's not good at all. So I started rationalizing with myself all the pros and all the cons, and then the pros started really outweighing the cons, and then I had to look at myself and go, man, are you going to let this stuff push you around? Are you going to stand up and be a man and get square up with this demon? Are you going to fight this demon, or are you going to let him push you around? And I bowed up. I said, no, I think. But now, had I not been able to stop, I was resolved to quit. So I would have been right in one of those meetings, or right with you, or right with Essel. I was going to get somebody. But I said, you owe it to yourself to try first, yourself. And really my pride was, I don't want to have someone's help. I want to be able to do it myself. I was scared to death I wasn't going to be able to. Second thing I want to point out is, you were talking about getting out there and handling life, and life just keeps coming at you. About 2.5 weeks into my sobriety, where I hadn't been drinking a drop and not smoking a drop, I started crying every day. Anything would make me cry. I'm a grown man. I'm 59 years old. My dad's an ex-Marine. I was raised in football. We don't cry about jack shit. You know what I mean? I was welling up over, it didn't even matter. I don't even think it was the subject. It was just whatever I was thinking at the time, but it was time for me to cry that day. I don't know what it was. So I called David. I said, David, I'm pretty sure it's related to withdrawal or my stopping this thing. I said, but I'm like crying every day. I can cry at the drop of a hat over things. And David consoled me. He said, hey, brother, you've been living life with a cushion between you and real life so long that now your body is having to deal with real life with no cushion, and it's hitting you just a little harder than you're used to, and it's going to take you a little while to get acclimated to it. He says, but it's perfectly natural. Just go ahead and cry your tears. Try to run in the other room. Don't let people see you crying all the time. He says, but get it out of your system. He goes, and then he says, but no, that's what's happening. You've been living a life where everything that came at you kind of hit this cushion that you had around yourself. It was called alcohol, and it softened the blow of everything. And now you don't have it, and everything's just hitting you a little bit harder. So I thought, that's what I thought. I kind of figured, I knew it was something. I was glad that you put it into words for me. And then I went on, and then about a week, maybe 7-8 days of that, and then it went away.
That's so fun. It's amazing. And you know what you just described? Me. And this is really great. And it's because we're, once again, not confined to Dennis and Mitch. This is a human condition. Feeling is hard. So when I was a kid, I was full of fear, insecurity, anger, all the human conditions that we suffer from. When I was 15, I started drinking, and I didn't have to feel that way anymore. I didn't have to feel anything anymore. And so what happened was I stopped growing at that point, and I got to 31 years old, and I never learned how to feel like an adult. I never learned how to feel like a human being. And so the reason most people fail in sobriety is because it's hard. You have to learn everything over again. You have to learn how to live, how to feel, how to get through heartache, disappointment.
And it's foreign at first.
It's
Foreign.
foreign. It is. And so what happened, check this out. This is amazing that you just told that story, because I was sober for about a year and a half. And then I was 33 years old. And one day I started crying and I could not stop crying. And it went on for 7 days.
Your bottom.
And so this was a year and a half after sobriety, exactly like you're describing. And I was sitting in my house on my phone talking to my sister and crying every day, uncontrollably, couldn't stop. And she's like, "Why are you crying?" And I'm like, I don't know. And then about 7 or 8 days later, I stopped crying. And then I wanted to cry more. So I started putting on sad movies like Forrest Gump. And I was trying to make myself cry more because it was the most cleansing experience I ever had in my life. And what happened was it was 33 years of emotion that was pent up that I never let out. I never learned how to feel. And so now sobriety, being clean, recovery, whatever it is you want to talk about, not eating to numb out your feelings, not smoking to numb out your feelings. It's about being able to feel again and facing life on life's terms. And there's tools that we have to help you do that. You don't have to figure it out on your own. Like, I'll give you those tools, or a qualified professional will help you get through that so you know how to do that.
Well, so and this is a phenomenon. This is something that happens to me regularly. When I talk about this subject, I start to well up again. Like I can very easily let myself go and have a good cry. And that only happens to me on two subjects. It happens to me when I'm in church and I get close to God and I feel that presence. I get overwhelmed like that. And I get overwhelmed like that when I talk to people about this subject of what it was like to have alcohol in my life since the 8th grade all the way till I'm 59 years old, and then what it's like not to have to do that anymore. I mean, not to have that anymore. I mean, I'm glad I had my drinking phase. I had a lot of fun. I did a lot of things. I really didn't cause, well, I don't know. God only knows where I would be if I hadn't ever had a drop, because the hours and the tons of years of hours that I probably wasted somewhere. But I enjoy my life very much. I don't regret it. I do know that I would be in a different place if I didn't do that, but I had fun. But this is only 2 times I get welled up. Really in my whole life, those are the 2 subjects that get me. And I think it's because in both cases, I'm so grateful that I'm where I'm at right now. I mean, I get very happy and grateful about it, that it worked out the way that it did for whatever reason,
Yeah, and that's called gratitude. And I think gratitude is a huge part of the program. I mean, it's about shifting your focus to the things that are going wrong in your life, is shifting your focus to how wonderful life is, and that life needs to be lived. And you need to wake up each day and shift your attitude. If your attitude is, I don't know how to get through this, so I'm gonna do this to numb out, then that's what you're gonna do. If you wake up and say, and even write down, part of my therapy and David and other people is writing a lot, because what happens, the average person has between 60 and 80,000 thoughts every single day. That's almost 1 thought per second. Now, if those were all awesome, productive, intuitive, great thoughts that help me be successful, happy, and healthy, then that would be awesome. But most of our thoughts are not productive. They're not healthy. So what I need to do is I need to slow that process down. That comes through prayer, meditation, connecting with God, spirituality, whatever works for you, and calming yourself down. Because if I'm worked up and then the world comes at me, I don't know how to respond properly. So I need to calm down. Once I calm down, now I can act instead of react and learn how to live life successfully. When I'm writing things down, like maybe things I'm grateful for, or what am I upset about right now? If I'm writing down, the answers to those problems come in the calmness, in the silence.
Part of what I did was, I was just doing this from instinct, because one is, I'm a very big believer in like Maxwell Maltz's psycho-cybernetics, where you have to control, the person we talk to the most in our entire life, hands down, not even close, is us. We talk to ourselves more than we talk to anybody in the world. And we got to think of, you need to start taking note of what you're saying to yourself, because what you're telling yourself is how you're going to be. So it's very life altering. You want to change your life, change how you talk to yourself, what you're saying to yourself, what you're telling yourself is possible and what you're telling yourself is not possible. And you know, instead of saying, man, I'm an idiot, I knew not to speed there. You don't say you're an idiot. You never say you're an idiot. I'm guilty of it all the time, but we shouldn't. We should say, I'm much better than that, and I will do better next time. And in fact, I'm already better. It probably won't ever happen again.
Yeah,
That's how you talk to yourself, how you're supposed to talk to yourself. And I was telling David, though, I naturally wrote down, I need to start learning to recognize when this is coming on. When this is coming on, I'm usually at this place, or these people have usually showed up, or someone's asked me, you know, or someone's making, I said, these are the things that are saying you're getting ready to get into decision time. And you're going to make a different now, and then now you're going to make a different decision than you made before. Instead of saying, yes, give me that drink, you're going to say no, but then what am I going to do to replace that? I need to have something to do. Give me an iced tea. Give me a soda water with lime. I don't know, but I got to get something, because what I'm missing, at least I can solve half the problem, which was this. I just needed this motion. That was half my problem. Or this. You know, I could solve half the problem if I could just get this going, even if I didn't have anything in my hand. Yeah. So I picked, and I had some soda water with lime, and so I was training myself to recognize, when is the event about to happen? I need to start recognizing that. When is it happening? It seems simple, but it's not. Because if you don't be careful, you say yes to the drink before you even realize, damn, I just missed my chance to say no.
Yeah, and to go back again to the behavior thing that I was talking about earlier, is like another reason most people fail is because they say, all right, I'm not going to drink. And they sit there in their house or wherever they are, and they just sit there holding onto their chair, and I'm not drinking. But it's not about not drinking. It's about replacing the harmful behaviors with healthy behaviors. It's about, instead of drinking and smoking or eating or whatever, it's go for a walk, it's pray and meditate, it's call somebody else, have your mentor, or surround yourself with people that are successful, happy, and healthy. And when you're in a tough spot, when you're like, I want to take that drink, call them and talk through it. A lot of times it's just a 3-minute conversation can shift your whole mind. And that's where my how approach, like, are you willing to make those changes? You know, are you willing to say, all right, well, I want to drink now, but instead I'm willing to call somebody else so I don't have to feel that way ever again. So it's about changing behaviors, but being willing to do so. And that's that willingness, that's a tough one for a lot of people. In fact, some of my clients, they're like, I'm not willing to do that work that they want me, that I tell them to do. I'm like, here, why don't we do this? Write these exercises down. And one of them, he's like, I'm not willing to do that. I'm not going to do that. And I'm like, all right, well, you're going to continue to stay sick. And so, it's really a catch-22. Like the situation you're talking about where you're like, I just didn't want to do it anymore. And I don't know how I did it. And that was a God thing. It sounds to me like it was a God thing. And so that's great. And it hits everybody at different times in different ways. And there's not one solution. The only thing I can say is it's really nearly impossible to do on your own.
And I wanted to say that I've had more than a handful of people say, that's almost impossible what you did. It's almost, the chances of a person who had drank that long and smoked that long to put it down in one day and never go back without a medical help or coach is almost 1 in a million. And right. I believe them too, but I don't know why. I don't know why. And I'm not even worried about why, because I don't care why. I'm just glad I'm here. You know.
But what you did do afterwards was that you reached out to somebody like David or me or a coach or something like that, because you can't stay stagnant. There has to be growth. I was taught that you have to always be pushing uphill. If you're not pushing uphill, you're sliding back downhill. There's no planing out. There's none of that.
There's no neutral. You're either moving forward. It doesn't matter if it's finances or whatever. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. You're either putting more money in the bank or you're putting less money. But there is no neutral in this world. There is no such thing as neutral. I mean, you're breathing. You're going to have to go kill something and eat it sooner or later. There is no neutral.
Right. But then part of the common misconception though is like when I say you have to always be pushing uphill, it doesn't necessarily mean struggling. It just means striving to be better and doing something different. If you want to get these results, you have to be willing to do something different to get those results, because what you're doing right now isn't going to get you there. And so most of the time we need help. I need to say, you know what? Again, I have to go back. My drinking and my drugs wasn't my problem. It was my thinking. So what I recognize that now at my point in life is that, you know, when I want to do something, I need to run that idea by somebody first and say, you know, and these are the bigger ideas. It's not about like, what am I having for lunch today? But if I say, I'm going to do this for my business, maybe I should call somebody, because my thinking isn't always right the first time. So if I could have somebody in my life where I can say, you know, I was thinking about making this business decision, and they're looking at it from a non-emotional, non-attached point of view and say, I don't know if that looks like such a good idea. Why don't you try this instead? And that's how we get through life now.
We don't know what we don't know.
That's right.
And instead of just guessing, well, let me try this and see if it works, you're like, let me go call someone who's already been here. And he'll go, I love it, man, because half the time I call people, they go, you're on the right track, but don't do it like this. You need to do it like that. Just a little simple tweak. If I'd have done it my way, it wouldn't have worked, and I'd have wasted some money. The little tweak made all the sense in the world. So why didn't I see that? He says, because you haven't had it gone wrong yet. As soon as you went wrong, you would have recognized you're doing it wrong, and you might have figured it out. But now you saved yourself the time.
And not only that, but do you know what that is that we're talking about? It's called humility. And it's a precious, precious little gift that not everybody has. Being willing, right, get back to that, to get your ego out of the way and call somebody else and ask for help. And when you're willing to do that, you're going to get those different results.
It's beautiful, man. The mind is a very complicated thing, but it's not, at the same time, it's not complicated. You may not like the rules of the mind, and it's stubborn as hell. I mean, to change what you've been doing for years, don't expect it to change in a day or two. What's the rule? At least 30 days. You know what I mean? At least, you know.
Yeah. What I say is that it's 100 miles into the woods and it's 100 miles back out. Now, the 100 miles into the woods, it was painful. Like, I didn't do things the right way. I made mistakes. I stubbed my toe. I bumped into walls. I hurt people. I wasn't the person I wanted to be. But I got to take that 100-mile trek back out of the woods. The good news is that trek out, it doesn't have to take as long or be as painful as the trek in. But again, I need to do it with somebody who's been there, who understands, and who knows the tools to get me out of the woods a little faster and a little less painful.
Okay, so I want you guys, Dennis has he's offering 2 free full sessions. They're 40 minutes. They're free. And this guy really has a servant's heart. Now, he needs to make a living. So if you connect, you know, and he's doing a good job for you, but he's willing to give you 2 free sessions to see if you guys are supposed to hook up together and go into the woods, you know, and try to get back out. I think that's a great offer. I really want to appreciate that, because, you know, that's a hour and 20 minutes out of your life that you're giving away, but it shows your servant's heart. You're there really to try to help someone. I'm sure it'll be very apparent if you're the right person for the, you know, if y'all are meant for each other to go through this process together. It's usually like $190, so I guess you're $80 an hour. Is that what it is normally?
$95 an hour.
Okay, $95 an hour. See, a real estate mogul who doesn't even need to be good at math. So you can hire people.
$95 for a 45-minute session.
Yeah, there you go. Check it out. So go to 1000houses.com, recover. All right. 1000houses.com/recover. And even if you just want life improvement skills, you don't have to go there. It's not just for addiction. If you want to if you have a goal and you want to go there, have some sessions and see if he might be instrumental in helping you get there. It always helps to have someone. So whether you get him or me or whatever, make sure you get somebody. And then you also wrote a book called Funky Wisdom, A Practical Guide to Life. Okay, so we'll have a link to that book. And if you want to hear more about Dennis's story, just go to 1000houses.com/recover. And, you know, I'm going to change that. Nah, no, it's too late to change it. People already got it in their head. So 1000houses.com/recover. And you know, that section is evergreen, Dennis. So if you have things to add to it, or if you're ever speaking somewhere or you want to put something in there new, just have your people call my people and we'll fix it, because it stays evergreen. These things stay archived forever. I get about 24,000 downloads a month, and the average podcast gets about 900 downloads pretty quick into it. So there'll be certain people. I will put a title on this that kind of reflects what you can do for people, and so hopefully a lot of those people that tune in, will be looking for a little help. I think it's all about recognizing that you need help, deciding that you really want help, and then taking some action on it. Anything you want to add before maybe we wrap it up?
No, I mean, this has been really great. And I would just love to, you said something really great, is that I have a service heart. And I do. Like, I almost died hundreds of times. I'm the real deal. I shouldn't be here. I drove my car into a house. I overdosed. When I stopped drinking, I had dark circles under my eyes. I was 70 pounds heavier than I am now, and just unhappy and unfulfilled and unhealthy. And if I'm able to do it, anybody can. And my goal, I used to struggle all the time with, why am I here? And you hear about some family who's doing really well, just gets wiped out walking across the street or something like that. And what I come to realize is that the reason I'm here is to help other people. And I think that's the reason that we're all here. It's just, when do you get to that realization? And so, yes, I do have a service heart. It's the reason I'm alive and the reason I'm on your show today. And thank you for letting me be here.
Well, thank you. So my mom once told me, when I was getting confused, I wasn't going to church at the time, but I would spend the night with my friends on Saturday night. And then before we could go play basketball or do anything, I had to go to my friend's church with my friends. Well, I was spending the night at different people's houses all the time. So I was spending the Baptist. I went to the Baptist church one week, and then I go to the Catholic church, and then I go to the Episcopalian, and then I go to the Methodist, and they were all doing it different. I mean, you went to the Baptist, and by God, if you drank or danced, they would excommunicate you. But if you went over to the Catholic church, you had to sell beer at the fair because you had to pay for Sister Mary's new house that they were building so you could have a place to live. And then I go to this other church, and the rules are halfway different. I thought, Mom, they're just all making it up. I got to make up my own religion, because wherever I go, they're just making it up for me. So what is my religion? My mom said, what do you think? And I says, I think it has to just be like the golden rule. Like, I have to treat people how I want to be treated. Is that good enough? She says, let's just add couple things to that. And I said, okay, so I'm going to treat people how I would want to be treated. What's the other things, Mom? She said, in love and forgiveness is the only thing God cares about, is love and forgiveness. So can you add those two things to your religion? I said, yeah, it kind of fits right there. So, because I want to be forgiven and I want to be loved, and later on, I found a place to go, that would talk to me about those things in the Bible, and not be screaming at me and yelling at me and telling me that they know exactly how it was. And so I started going to church more at 49, but and I'm glad I did, but I don't know how I would get through this without believing in something other than myself. I'll give credit to God every day of the week that's how I got there. Every day of the week. You couldn't make me cut him out of anything, but that decision, especially one of the biggest decisions of my life. I don't know how you get through things like that without God. I don't know how that works. You have to believe in something, because I don't believe that you or anybody is enough for themselves.
I agree 100%. And then that's part of what I teach is a spiritual approach to all of this. It has to be, because what it comes down to, and the one thing that the 12 steps, that AA program is right, is that power greater than yourself. Okay, so here's the deal. It's like, which I explained earlier. I used to wake up every morning, throw up blood, look in the mirror, cry, say, I'm never doing that again. And then I would walk to the freezer, grab my last shot of Jack Daniels and start drinking again. And that went on for a long time. And I couldn't stop on my own power. But now I don't do that anymore. So that means I couldn't stop on my own power, but I don't do that anymore for 17 years right now. So that means that a power greater than me helped me to stop doing that. And I call that power God. And you connect with Jesus. And whatever it is that you connect with, there has to be something greater than you that you believe in order to have this spiritual life. And when you live that way, life unfolds in amazing ways.
Yeah, the greatest, and we don't have time for it today, but anyways, go to 1000houses.com/recover and check it out. Get that 2 free 40-minute sessions with Dennis Berry, Berry. And maybe you're ready right now, maybe you're not ready. But if you've got an inclination, can't hurt anything. He's not going to be screaming at you or yelling at you. I can just tell by the way this man is. He's going to help you decide if it's your time and if you're ready or not. And if you're not ready, you're not ready. Because no one can talk you into this crap. This is way too big to get talked into. You got to want it, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I couldn't have said it better myself. So yeah, you can reach me at my name is my website, dennisberry.com, and get that there, or go to 10,000houses.com/recover.
1000houses.com/recover. All right, my friends, we're out of here. I appreciate you being on. This episode is brought to you by taxfreefuture.com. Please go there, watch the 37 little video vignettes to show you there's a lot of myths and misconceptions about self-directed IRAs and 401ks and what you can do and what you can't do. You won't believe. I'm having this conversation with this attorney who spent over 2 decades only doing retirement planning law and with these tax-deferred and tax-free retirement plans. And he knows more about it. He's forgotten more about these plans than we'll ever know. And I'm having these conversations as a real estate investor, and I have case studies. I've taken mine from a little bitty tiny bit of money to decent money in anybody's book, big money in most people's book, in a relatively short period of time, using strategies I learned from people like Tim and this guy that I'm talking to. So taxfreefuture.com, go there and check it out. All right, we're out of here. Bye now.